tonight. A busy highway in Saskatchewan remains closed as RCMP investigate after a serious crash this morning. Also, the Regina Folk Festival is taking a pause this summer in the hopes it will survive in 2025.
Who's that guy?
That's Connor Bedard.
Connor Bedard frenzy has returned to Saskatchewan as his rookie NHL hockey card is released.
It's so crazy. You can hear our phone going off every 2 seconds. We probably had 500 phone calls already.
This is CBC Saskatchewan News.
It is Wednesday, March 6th, and the CBC Saskatchewan News starts right now. Good evening and thanks for watching. The Parents' Bill of Rights was a new law passed in Saskatchewan back in October. It makes parental consent required before a child under the age of 16 can use a different gender-related name or pronoun at school. And as Pratush Dayal reports, there are more developments now in the You Are Pride challenge of the law.
The You Are Pride Centre had filed a court challenge. It says the Saskatchewan government's school pronoun law violates some section of the Charter of Human Rights. A judge ruled last month that the court challenge of the pronoun law could go ahead. Now, the province has filed an appeal. It's alleging the judge made mistakes. The government says the court can't do a review on the Parents' Bill of Rights. The argument is that they used the notwithstanding clause. EGAL Canada is representing You Are Pride as co-counsel. In an emailed statement, EGAL says Court of King's Bench has already found that the new law will inflict irreparable harm on vulnerable young people, and that despite the government's use of the notwithstanding clause, the case must proceed. Quote, we remain focused on a priority of protecting trans and gender diverse youth and seeking to end the harm being inflicted upon them as quickly as possible.
A court making a declaration about the charter, despite the notwithstanding clause having been invoked. So I think that is what you're referring to, and that was one of the concerns, the legal concerns raised, and which will be raised now going forward at the Court of Appeal.
As the province tries to uphold its pronoun law, some parents tell CBC News they're worried about harm still to come, particularly for youth who would see school and their teachers as a supportive space. The appeal will take some time. Court documents show the province plans to make an application to a judge on May 8th. Pratish Dayal, CBC News, Saskatoon.
The travel bill for Saskatchewan Cabinet Minister was once again the main focus of the opposition in question period today. Yesterday, Dustin Duncan defended the use of a car service that he and his staff used to travel around Paris during a trip last year. The opposition says receipts show Duncan used the service to pick him up from a museum tour. In the House, the opposition called for Duncan to apologize.
The minister won't apologize for a $3,500 private Mercedes chauffeur service. The Premier should. That's what Brad Wall would have done, Mr. Speaker. Now, clearly those days are gone. Will the Premier find his feet and do it today?
We've seen a number of accusations, Mr. Speaker, questioning the integrity of a member on the floor of this Assembly come across here today, Mr. Speaker. This is a member, the member from Weyburn, I would say, is a member that approaches his elected position on behalf of his constituents in Weyburn and surrounding area, as well as the broader Saskatchewan residents as a minister, Mr. Speaker, with some of the greatest degree of effort that I have seen.
Mo says Duncan attended a nuclear expo and 19 meetings over a few days in France. Mo and Duncan brought up examples of former NDP government members using car services and sightseeing with public dollars. Mayor Sandra Masters will head to France later this year to take part in 80th anniversary celebrations of D-Day. Regina City Council approved the travel at its meeting this afternoon. Masters says she's been invited by the Royal Regina Rifles and the mayors of two towns in France. What's normally a rubber-stamped process ended up being a tight vote.
I won't be able to support this request at a time when folks are just struggling to make ends meet. I think we need to set an example by reining in our expenses as well.
Yeah, I think honoring veterans is probably one of the most noble things that we can do, and remembering history is probably one of the smartest things we can do.
The cost of the trip is projected to be $6,000, with the city picking up the tab. The approval of Master's latest piece of international travel comes as CBC learned the cost of the mayor's trip to COP28 last year. The mayor headed up a 3-person delegation to the climate conference in Dubai. CBC confirmed the cost of that trip was approximately $30,000, all of it paid for by Economic Development Regina. The northbound lanes of Highway 11 are still closed this hour after a very serious crash this morning. It happened just a few kilometers north of Bladworth between Kenaston and Davidson. The collision appears to involve at least 2 semi-trailers, one of which was lying across both northbound lanes. Then lanes in both directions have been closed all day. Vehicles are being detoured around it down side roads. Police have not confirmed what happened, how many vehicles are involved, or if anyone was killed or hurt. But they did say the crash was serious. Mounties are asking drivers who might have to travel that way to check the highway hotline for the latest information into the evening hours. The Regina Folk Festival has announced that it's begun planning its 53rd show. But that show will not happen this summer as annually expected. Tyreek Reed explains.
I know it's just another star.
Regina Folk Festival says it's turning off the microphones this August, and anyone hoping to enjoy music in Victoria Park will have to wait until the summer of 2025.
Everything has changed for the music industry. And we can't do business as usual. We need to take time to rebuild our resources and to revision the format so that we come back really strong with a clear vision in 2025.
Goodwin says the annual festival took a financial hit during the pandemic, and post-pandemic shows had low ticket sales. The organization that runs the show even moved out of its office to save money. Historically, sponsorships and fundraising have helped sustain the festival. But she says pushing to next year is for its survival.
And while, we would all much rather be having a huge party in August instead of taking a pause, everyone understands that this is a really thoughtful, considerate, sort of strategic way to move forward.
Musicians like Nick Fay understand and support the pause, but he says its absence this year will be felt by musicians and the community.
Sharing those moments with your neighbors in the heart of the city on a beautiful summer night, there's not many things that top that, I think, musically and artistically for me.
Regina Mayor Sandra Masters says the city hasn't forgotten about the festival and says that support and collaboration will still be provided moving forward.
We're going to continue to work with the Folk Festival. We did last summer. We provided a last-minute additional grant. And so we're going to continue to work because we want to make sure that venues are meeting the needs of their audience.
As for the near future, Goodwin says Regina Folk Festival will present concert series through 2024. She says they are also still accepting donations and sponsorships to make 2025 successful. Tyreek Reed, CBC News, Regina.
Last weekend's huge snowfall forced the closure of the Saskatoon Food Bank on Monday and Tuesday. They're hoping people will now be able to make their way to pick up food. Executive Director Laurie O'Connor says most people who use the food bank don't have their own transportation, so they'll have to do their best to get to the location on Avenue C.
Navigating your way to the food bank is pretty difficult. I'm sure you are all driving. Lots of folks are walking. They're trying to bring some sort of a stroller or something so that they can take their food home. So it is a tough go out there for everyone. And imagine if you were home and needed food on Monday and learned that the food bank was closed because we couldn't get here. So we know that this storm was very impactful on the folks using our services. So the rest of the week will be incredibly busy for us.
Saskatoon's food bank serves about 23,000 people each month, and about 40% of those are children. Hockey card collectors are in a frenzy today, along with fans of Connor Bedard. What's considered to be his official rookie card has been released, and the search is on for one card in particular. Liam O'Connor has more.
Who's that guy?
That's Connor Bedard! This store sells a lot of hockey cards, but it's been a long time since they've seen this much interest in one card in particular, with customers hoping to find a golden ticket, a one-of-a-kind Connor Bedard rookie card.
This is probably the most highly anticipated release product that we have ever seen. The interest has been astronomical. We've seen people lined up outside of the store this morning. We have been getting calls about this product for months and months.
The much sought-after card is a Connor Bedard Young Guns rookie card in one of the 2023-24 Upper Deck Series 2 collection. Paul Hauk, the co-owner of 306 Sports Cards, was busy opening packs live on Facebook for people who had pre-ordered them.
And we got another Connor Bedard, and that's $150 cards.
But among those rookie cards is one that is unlike any other, the gold card. It's so valuable, an American collectible company is already offering $1 million bounty on it.
So there's the Bedard 1 of 1. So it's gonna look like that Bedard rookie, but it's gonna have gold. It's gonna have gold outbursts. So the longer we go without finding it, the more valuable it's gonna become.
And Bedard made his name breaking records with the WHL's Regina Pats and Team Canada Juniors, then being drafted at the age of 18 to the Chicago Blackhawks, where he leads the team and all NHL rookies in scoring.
Bedard, he scores!
One more young gun left.
This Regina store sold out of card boxes within minutes.
We get the he's kind of our guy hype too, so that's the reason why it's so crazy. You can hear our phone going off every 2 seconds. We probably had 500 phone calls already. We sold out our first order in 43 minutes this morning.
There's only one guarantee young gun per box, not obviously a Bedard, that's any rookie, and that was the card that was in it. So.
And what was it like?
It's exciting. It's very exciting.
Paul Hauk didn't find the golden ticket, but even the Bedard card he did find will go for hundreds, according to him.
Connor Bedard, free your Hawks! Let's go!
Liam O'Connor, CBC News, Saskatoon.
You know, the gratitude started earlier than this week. And again, we can rewind. I think I was close to, just kind of fell out of love with the game. And I think, it wasn't necessarily curling that was the problem. It was, stuff going on with me. And I feel so much gratitude to have ended up with a team like this.
Saskatchewan continues to perform at the Montana's Brier in Regina at the Brand Centre. In this morning's draw against the Northwest Territories, Mike McEwen's rink from Saskatoon won 10-2 in 8 ends. That leaves them with a 5-1 record at the top of Pool B. Saskatchewan takes on Nunavut tonight in the 15th draw at 7 o'clock. We'll be back after the break. Welcome back. For much of Canada, this has been an unusually mild winter, and spring-like conditions are already moving in. While that might be a welcome arrival for many of us, it seems to be a little confusing for animals, especially ones that migrate or hibernate. Natalia Goodwin explains.
The iconic Flying V has returned. It's a sure sign of spring, except it's only the beginning of March. Experts say geese take their cues to come back from changes in temperature and daylight at their wintering spots. And this year, they've come back 1 to 2 weeks early. And if the warmth sticks around, there could be more geese soon, though smaller.
They're going to want to get started as soon as the habitat's available for them to get going. So we might see, goslings earlier, like for your local area, you might see goslings earlier this year than you typically would.
Other feathered fellows are getting more active too, Sharp says. He's seen mallard ducks displaying spring-like behavior, and already you can hear songbirds in the morning. But it's not just birds. Larger animals are thinking it's spring too. Last week, the province of Ontario sent out a warning that bears are waking up already, and that they'll be hungry. But that's not necessarily good. Scientists say hibernating bears respond to temperatures above zero, so when it gets warmer faster, it can be a problem.
Most food's not available until much later, and so they depend heavily on what they have left over from the winter. And if they haven't fattened up well in the fall, then mortality is fairly high due to starvation. So right now when they're out, there's no food available. So what do they look for? Anything. And that's why they tend to appear more often in urban areas at the edges.
So best to secure garbage, barbecues, and bird feeders if you live in an area known for bears. The scientists say due to the warm weather, we may also see other animals becoming more active, like chipmunks, otters, and beavers. But if we get another cold snap, most animals will go back to sleep, and the geese will turn off their mating instinct, unless they've already begun to nest, in which case they may need to do it again, with the possibility of less eggs, because they will have already used their fat stores to make the first nest. Natalia Goodwin, CBC News, Ottawa.
The weather update is brought to you by Capital GMC Buick Cadillac. March Mania is on now.
Our weather specialist Ethan Williams joins me now. No shade to the bird lovers or the geese lovers, but fewer geese are okay with me. I'm so scared of them.
Yeah, they seem to come in droves all of a sudden, like a big Alfred Hitchcock movie. But yeah, they'll be waiting a little while longer here in Saskatchewan, because it's definitely feeling like winter in southeastern Saskatchewan again. We have snow moving around the Regina area. We've seen some flakes flying this afternoon, but it's this at times heavy snow near the Manitoba border that has been causing some issues on the roads. We do have some highways that are closed right now. In addition to Highway 11 that you saw earlier near Bladworth, Whitewood to the Manitoba border on Highway 1, as of about 6:15 is closed right now, as is Highway 8 north of Moosomin to Spy Hill. And south of Moosomin to Redverse, Highway 8 is not recommended for travel. And neither is Highway 48 from Highway 9 to the Manitoba border. And of course, that is because of the drifting and swirling snow and icy patches that we are seeing out there. Just to give you an idea, here's a screenshot of the highway camera on Highway 1 at Wapella just a couple of minutes ago. So you can see that snow on the road, and of course, the visibility not very good as well. In fact, here is a look at where some of those are sitting right now. We only have readings for Yorkton and Regina that are really showing that drop, but this is near zero right along the border here, kind of in the Rocanville area up to Esterhazy is where we're seeing those kind of heaviest pockets. The good news is, though, I think that'll start to come to an end through the evening hours. The system that's been causing this, which is in Manitoba, beginning to quickly move away. We'll see a bit of clearing overnight, but it'll be another cold one tonight in west central Saskatchewan with temperatures near -30. Some clearing for many of us tomorrow, including Regina and Saskatoon. I think we'll see a mix of sun and cloud. Then things start to build back in for early Friday morning. A little bit of snow moving through portions of the north, but things clear more substantially for the southern half of the province, especially heading into Friday afternoon before we start to see that cloud cover build back in, especially for the north as we head into Saturday. So in terms of snowfall, the snow is falling at such a rate that I think we might get a few more centimeters up around that Yorkton area. A couple of more for around Moosomin, but for Regina, Weyburn, points kind of west from there, I think we've seen the bulk of that fall now. Now, in terms of winds, the good news is things staying pretty calm over these next couple of days. So with that loose and swirling snow on highways, not going to be seeing that blowing around all that much. Might see a pickup a little bit here and there in the southwest over the next couple of days, but we're not expecting to see things pick up really all that much. And that includes in Regina, where we're still looking for a below seasonal day once again tomorrow, a temperature of around -11. But again, I think we'll see the sun come back out a bit. Same sky conditions for Friday, but things start to warm up, and then the weekend looking quite nice with temperatures getting above the freezing mark. And as we head into the start of next week, those are temperatures that are not just above freezing, but well above seasonal for this time of year. And for Saskatoon, a little bit cooler again tomorrow. I think tonight will be the last night where we're down near -30 for an overnight temperature before things start to improve with some breezy conditions on Sunday. But overall, the message now, Sam, is be careful if you're on the roads in southeastern Saskatchewan.
Absolutely. Thanks so much for this, Ethan.
You bet.
Stay with us. We're back with more after the break. A survivor of the federal Indian day school system is taking her case to Canada's highest court. She's fighting to amend her claim for compensation from Ottawa's multi-billion-dollar settlement agreement. Olivia Stefanovich explains.
I was also ashamed to share my abuse and my trauma.
Margaret Swan reads one among hundreds of complaints she's gathered against a multi-billion-dollar settlement agreement she helped create and then quickly came to question.
I thought I would fall apart.
Not so long ago, Swan became a lead plaintiff in a class action against Ottawa for harms caused at federal Indian day schools, institutions like residential schools, except children went home at night.
Students who attended these schools were subject to sexual, physical, and psychological abuse.
In 2019, a deal was cemented between day school survivors and the federal government. The cost was initially pegged at just over $1 billion, but CBC News has learned it's now close to $6 billion. Whatever the cost, the government says it wanted to do one thing better.
What we tried to do was simplify the process here in order that survivors had easier access to the settlement monies without necessarily having to go through the trauma that they had to.
They designed a claim process to avoid re-traumatizing survivors, headed by the claims administrator Deloitte and the law firm Gowling. All survivors had to do was fill out a form, and that's when problems began. It asked a lot, and for some, too much.
Felt traumatized again, victimized again.
You have reached Gowling WLG, class counsel.
And when victims reached out for help,
the period to file a claim has now closed.
They felt no one was there.
I felt compelled to just sign it, and I guess I suffered the consequences. That's the Waterhen School. Yeah.
Waldron hired her own lawyers to update her claim. She was denied. Now CBC News has learned they're asking Canada's highest court to intervene.
These aren't insurance claims. These are claims dealing with real people who were victims of abuse as children.
Both Deloitte and Gowling declined CBC's requests for interviews. When asked to respond over email to concerns about the agreement, a spokesperson said the firms can't comment on what they called third-party views. Olivia Stefanovich, CBC News, Ottawa.
And Ethan's back with one last look at your weather.
And tomorrow morning we'll be waking up to around -17 in Regina. A little bit of some sunshine, I think, as well. The clouds starting to break away. Wind's fairly light, so not too much of a wind chill. And then by the afternoon, a little more substantial clearing as we see temperatures around -14. For Saskatoon, a little colder still, waking up to -24. Just a little bit of wind. Can make that feel close to -30 at times, but the warm-up will start into the afternoon around -18. Winds fairly light, looking for a high around -14 or so. And just a quick reminder of roads that are either closed or not recommended for travel in the southeast, including Highway 1 from Whitewood to the Manitoba border. Also closed on Highway 8 from Moosomin to Spy Hill, and travel not recommended as well on Highway 48 to the Manitoba border. So be careful if you are headed out that way tonight, Sam.
A good night to just maybe stay home and cuddle up with your dog.
Yeah, exactly. Well said.
All right. Thanks, Ethan.
You bet.
And before we go, speaking of, Regina police officers have a new furry teammate.
Sinclair, shake. Good job. Shake. Good job.
Meet Sinclair, an assistance dog who lends a paw and emotional support to people in vulnerable and legal settings. These pups are specifically chosen for their calm demeanor in high-stress environments. Sinclair will help support police investigations at hospitals and in court as well. He joined the team in December and replaces former assistance dog Merlot, who retired from duty last June after 8 years on the job. Too cute. That is it for us tonight. For News Anytime, you can head to our website. You can subscribe to the CBC Saskatchewan YouTube channel, or you can download the CBC News app. Thanks so much for watching. Have a great night.